He's a great player. Yeah. He wasn't messing around when he said he was going to try and qualify. All right, well, I'm really excited today to have all the way from Cork, Ireland, one of our top TPI certified golf professionals, Padraig Dooley, here at TPI today. Former touring professional, great sectional player now, really wants to take his game to another level at the age of 50. So this is going to be an interesting one because Padraig can actually teach our TPI certification program. So I'm pretty sure he knows what's going on here, but he probably just wants confirmation from me. You know, it's kind of hard to coach yourself, so I think we're just going to need to give him some guidance. Hey everyone, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. If you enjoy content like this, the best thing you can do to help support our channel is hit the like and subscribe button below. If you do that, we'll notify you once new content's launched. Thanks for watching my TPI. Big 5-0.
Yeah, white 5-0.
Give me the broken bone surgeries, traumas, anything I should know about.
So no broken bones at any stage. No real major traumas.
You're telling me over 50 years that you haven't had any major traumas or anything or nothing? It's pretty awesome. All right, give me the strengths and weaknesses of the game.
My bad shots aren't that bad.
What's your superpower?
That's probably it, that my bad shots aren't that bad, so I don't really get so that I don't really get into that much trouble and stuff like that. Like, I don't think there ever was a stage where I say, you know, that's really outstanding. Everything was kind of okay. You know? So accuracy pretty okay. Length definitely down on speed. The problem was that when I was playing a lot, I didn't really know how to work on speed.
What's your driver club speed?
So probably at the moment about somewhere between 103 and 105. Was I ever above 108? I don't think so. So ball speeds were kind of, you know, 150, 153 to 155 and stuff like that. The odd time you'd see 160, but again, I never really trained for speed at all. You know, at all. So yeah.
All right. How can I help?
Basically what's happened over time is I've definitely deteriorated physically, you know, so everything's just a little bit worse. So now's the time. If I don't do it now, whenever am I going to do it?
So one would be put together a workout program.
And I have the time, it's just I haven't been organizing my time.
And are you doing anything now?
No.
Okay, so we're starting from scratch. Any swing issues, or you pretty much?
I do think that I've got plenty of lower body power, but the upper body power.
So if you're coaching yourself, what are you telling? What do you work on?
Well, if I was coaching myself, I would say, okay, well, you see posture, you need to get rid of that for better rotation. I do think my upper body power is down a little bit, so as a result, you can see more lower body action going on just to maintain the power.
So try and increase the mobility in the upper body and stabilize the lower body.
Yeah, that would be it. So then what's a reasonable competitive goal for me is that after hitting 50, like, I think it's possible for me to qualify for the US Senior Open or the Senior British Open, because I can't shoot in the mid-60s, I can do that, so it's just I need to do it more often at the right time.
That's fine. Well then, you know what we're going to do. We're going to start with the physical screen. I can take a quick peek to see what we're looking at there, and then we'll go from there. Let's do it. So just going through the interview with Padraig, he really thinks the weakness is physical. He's like, you know, I've gotten to that mode where I'm a teaching professional now. I've kind of let my body go a little bit and feels like he needs to up that part of his game. So I like Padraig's goals. His goals, number one, is he wants to get a workout. He wants to get a detailed workout, and he's like, I'm going to commit to this. Like I said, as we get older, we start realizing that, you know, when you start losing mobility, it doesn't feel the same as it did when you were young. And then number two is he still thinks he's got some game left in him, and he wants to try and qualify for the US Senior Open. To me, that is kind of like the dream, that's the result, but then you need to make the goals or the steps that's required to create that reality. And for Padraig, I think step one, like he already knows, is evaluate his body and see how we can enhance that. Let's do basic level one screen first. So just standing there facing me. Let's go ahead and get in 5-iron posture. Let me just, arms crossed. All right, show me the little C posture. Let me see, go ahead and pelvic tilt. It's a little shake maybe?
No, definitely shaking a bit, yeah.
Okay, and let me see you go ahead and do the pelvic rotation. So arms crossed, rotate your lower body, don't move your upper body. Let me see you go ahead and squat with your heels on the ground. Come on back up for me. One more time. Looks like you're avoiding that right already. You feel like you're going more left?
Yep. Definitely a little bit.
Okay. Heel on the ground. Let me see the knee going forward. Compare the left to the right for me. Okay, let me see the right. Well, that's a little different, right?
Yeah, you feel it.
Lay flat on your back. Let's go pull knees tight to chest. Okay, take both hands on your left knee, pull to your right shoulder. And now compare that with the right one, pull into your left shoulder. It's a different world over there on the right.
Yeah.
I can see it from here. Is there pain?
No.
Okay, bridge for me. Bring your feet back a little bit. Good, keeping that belt level. Extend that right leg. Let me see the left. Don't let that left hip drop. Is that harder?
No.
Go back to the left again. Feel the same?
This is a little bit easier.
This is easier.
Yeah.
So the right is harder.
A little bit harder.
Did the left feel strong?
It could be stronger is what I would say.
Feet together. Let me see you touch your toes. Okay. Have a seat on the ground again. Let me see you try and touch your toes here. Okay, lay all the way back. Hands like this. Keeping your left knee down, raise your right leg up, keeping it straight. And the other side. High as you can go. Okay, back down. Totally relax. Let this leg just totally relax. I got it. Let this totally relax. I got it. Okay. Hands and knees for me. So you just go hands and knees like this. And you're just gonna curl over like that. Sit back to your heels. Sit back to your heels if you can. Curl over. Did you get that on video? That was called drunk prone rocking. On first observation, I think Padraig's right. We're losing mobility, right? And you can see like big ones like hip flexion, like trying to touch his toes, very restricted. And you can see it's almost forcing him to flex his spine. When you drop your keys on the ground and you go to pick up your keys, if you can't flex from your hips, you just flex from your spine more. And now it starts to affect the spine. That's what's causing your C posture there. You got your lumbar spine's not flexing, hips aren't flexing, and we got some posterior chain tissue stuff. So that'll be a big part of your program for sure.
Like I would even say if I'm sitting down this way, like it's uncomfortable to me to go that way.
Yeah. Well, except right now, like if you think about like what's C posture, like so C posture is a part of your mid back is doing all the hinging, right? Because the rest of it's not. Typically when you set up to a golf ball, your spine looks pretty neutral, pretty straight. Now, if you start to slouch and round your back over and it looks like the letter C, we call that a C posture. And that's very common as we get older. We're sitting, using your phone, and those things can be very detrimental to rotation. Your spine is great at bending, it's great at side bending, it's great at rotating. It's just really bad at doing two at the same time. So in other words, if you flex and round and then try and rotate, you can limit your rotation like over 50%. When we get into the spine, you'll see he's got restrictions with mobility, rotating and extending in the spine, and we even have hip rotation mobility. So we got some work to do on mobility. So I check, your hips don't like to flex. You should be able to bury your knees against your chest, but your hips don't want to flex. They're like hitting a wall. Check the tissue on the back of your legs with your legs straight. That feels tight too. So this whole, all the tissue over here, and then your lumbar spine isn't flexing. So guess what's flexing? Mid T-spine, right? That's what's doing it. So when you go to bend over to do anything, it's just mid back. So we're gonna go after that pretty hard. And keep those knees together again. Come back to center. Rotate one more time for me. Back to center. One more time. Good. Switch. Hello. Back to center. One more time. Addy. That's 27 left. 27 left, 36 right. 27 degrees of thoracic rotation is half of what we normally see on PGA Tour. He's got this C posture, it's really restricted his thorax range of motion. Now, again, there's lots of structures here that can be restricted, but it's hard for him to rotate in his upper body, so I could see why he was asking for that earlier. This is severely restricting his ability to maintain posture, rotate, get power. The good news is we can make huge differences with just a little amount of work every day, right? We just need to know where the problem is and attack. I'm looking at what the AI is giving you here, hold on. Man, it's beating the hell out of your spine. It's got 7 T-spine ones that it's beating up. I said, give me a 60-minute one, so one after 7 exercises there. And then it added a couple shoulder things. Make sure you do the T-spine stuff before the shoulder stuff.
Okay.
Now we have this saying at TPI that the trunk or the thorax trumps the shoulder. What I mean by that is anytime you find mobility restrictions in your thorax and you find mobility restrictions in your shoulder, I don't think you have a shoulder problem, I think you have a thorax problem, because restrictions in the thorax can affect the shoulder. So in other words, if you lose mobility in your thorax, it will directly reduce range of motion in your shoulder, but that's not a shoulder problem, that's a thorax problem. And if you just go work on shoulder and you don't work on the thorax, you can make your shoulder hypermobile. So always remember, if you've got tightness in your chest and your trunk and tightness in your shoulder, attack the trunk first before the shoulder. So you're kind of getting more of that C posture, so you can't flex. It's hard for you to rotate in your spine. It's hard for you to rotate in your shoulder. And then just for the hell of it, we'll throw some hip rotation to the right, and your backswing is on there too. So those 4 are your big 4 mobility things. Honestly, I feel like the rest is residual.
Coming from the...
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what we have to, we got to get you some of that life back. If we work on those, the rest of these will clean up.
Yeah.
Easy. So you already told me that, but I just wanted to confirm, just to make sure we're on the same page. You said you want to work out, but I'm assuming if you got some distance too, this would be a benefit, right? So let's check power. So I know Padraig didn't ask for speed, but anytime I see mobility restrictions, severe ones, it's going to affect your ability to create power because you don't have enough time to apply force and velocity if you can't take a big backswing, right? It's also important to check power and strength and even ball speed and club head speed, so we can start tracking progress to see what kind of movement we're making with the exercises. Okay, keep your chest up and just drop the back knee down. If you can't get up, you just drop the weights. Could you do that 8 times if I asked you?
Just about.
Switch legs. Could you do it 8 times?
Just about as well to it.
45s.
I don't think I could do 8.
Okay, put those back. So you think, so 40s with your right leg forward, 45s with your leg. Do you think you could do 50 with your left leg forward?
Let's find out.
That's based on our data. This is the number you should be able to do.
I think I could do 8.
Okay, but that's probably it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That right leg, man. We gotta figure out what's going on over there. As I'm taking him through the strength test, I can see even on the first test here, I'm already seeing there's a little bit of strength deficit. As I get into his upper body and his core, kind of interesting, I'm noticing that there's a deficit with him pull strength with his right arm and push with his left. Both of those occur during the backswing, so he's got actually weaker strength turning to the backswing than he does on the downswing. It's no surprise that we'll see some strength deficits when you have severe mobility deficits. It's kind of hard to engage muscles if you can't even load them first and get the mobility. So these kind of go together a lot of times. So overall, I'm seeing that we've got a slight reduction in strength, like 10 to 20% versus our tour staff. I go, but that's strength. Right? I want to go look at power because power is strength times speed. So if he has speed on top of strength, we could have big power deficits. So I want to go look at power now. Did. See if you can beat that. Hard as you can. Okay. Throw it as you're sitting up. Nice. All right, so we start with the upper body test with Padraig, and I can see right away that we definitely have a power deficit. Now, I saw in the strength that we had about a 10 to 20% deficit. I think we got more here. Go ahead and do a jump. 14.7, keeps going up. 14.5. Okay, you want to try one more, or are you good? One more. 15.2, okay, that's good. Okay, hard as you can. Nice. Okay, turn that way. Okay, I'm good here. Moment of truth. There you go, Patty. Look here. Legs definitely strongest, core's the weakest. Would you have guessed that?
Oh yeah, that's definitely the case, yeah.
And then let's see, rotary. Non-dominant side is 22%. I don't like that to be more than 10% bounce. So your dominant side is 22% more powerful than your non-dominant. So we definitely need to do some non-dominant stuff.
Yeah.
You do anything now?
No.
Okay. To me, if we want to hit it farther, we got to make the engine a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
To do it safely. We can actually add speed, but if the engine can't support it, things can fall apart. So I'm going to add a little bit of a power workout here too, just trying to increase the size of the engine here. based on your strength numbers that I saw, I feel like you should be able to get more here, but we just probably haven't done a lot of explosive stuff. So I think we need to, but I think we need the mobility first, and then we can add some of this stuff. So I think it's pretty consistent with this power testing. When I look at core, when I look at vertical jump, all of them have somewhere around a 40% reduction compared to our tour staff, right? If your engine has a 40% reduction, I can't step on the accelerator if the engine only has 60% of what it needs, right? I need to make a bigger engine, right? So in Padraig's workout, I know he knew he needed mobility for this trunk and a little more stability of his lower body, but we are definitely going to try and build a bigger engine at the same time. So you're going to see a mobility program and a power program. The mobility program you should do, you could do daily, like you said. I put a 60-minute program in there. So you can spend an hour doing this a day. Do that every day for a month. I'm telling you, you're going to be like, oh my God, I feel like a different person after a month. And then slowly, the power one, like first week, do it once or twice a week, and then you can get it to the point where you're doing it like every other day if you want. But I would say like 2-3 times a week would be great on that, okay? Okay, now what I want to do is I want to do the force plate stuff just because that's where I can add some stuff in here too to make sure it's golf specific for you. We're kind of done with the physical assessment. I have a pretty good idea we want to work on, even without watching him hit balls. But I do want to watch him hit balls because number one, I want to see how efficiently he uses the engine he has currently, right? Let's say you've got an engine that's 60% of PGA Tour. I hope you're using all 60%, right? Because technique, you can actually take that down to 30% if you're not using it. So the evaluation of the swing is going to kind of show me what he's using now, how efficiently he's using the power he has now, and make sure that we don't need to add any technical or equipment modifications on top of the physical. Pretty good. He's a great player. Yeah. He wasn't messing around when he said he was going to try and qualify. It's like a laser. Is that the miss?
The miss was the really bad.
Oh, the fat left one, yeah? Yeah.
There was. That's been appearing lately.
Okay.
Sometimes definitely a little bit of heel strike.
That's the thrust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So first impression, it's kind of making sense. He's one of the most accurate out there. But I'm looking at him, he looks like he's been creeping away from the golf ball. He looks very far from the golf ball. It looks like he early extends or moves towards the golf ball in his swing. It even looks like there's a little bit of a sway, a little bit of reverse. These are all things that I would expect based on the lack of mobility issues that we saw, right? If it's hard for you to rotate, it's easier to kind of start to move lateral, to sway, and maybe even reverse your spine towards the target. If it's hard to rotate, it's easier to move forward. If you start to move forward towards the golf ball, you run out of space. So what do is you start creeping away. And the more you creep away, the more you want to move forward, and it kind of feeds this little spiral. Padraig tells me his superpower, like why he's a good player, and to be honest with you, I think this is one of the best answers I've heard, and that is my misses aren't that bad. If we don't stop this soon, he's going to say that his superpower is not a superpower anymore because it's going to create 2 misses. So I'm glad he's here.
Like I do feel it's harder to move off.
Yeah,
the right side.
you're a mile away, dude. Yeah. That was perfect. That's all I need. Do you ever miss one, dude? Good night. It's like a stripe show. So the plan is we're going to go in and get some data. We're going to get on the force plates. The good news here is I'm preaching to the choir. I think Padraig, like I said, he could be coaching himself. He's one of the best. But I think we both probably would say his sequence is probably good on how he uses what he's got. You can always compensate for these mobility things if you're good, and Padraig's good. But he also knows if you want to take it to the next level, it's time to change.
Double plate ready.
Nice. Man, that tee almost got me.
Double plate ready. Double plate ready.
Sounding better? Let me take a quick peek. All right, so first impressions on the force plate. A little bit more of an early extension pattern than I was thinking. Actually, a lot more than I was thinking. But overall, he's got some really good lateral force, really impressive, and he's got some really good vertical force. The one thing that's the lowest on him is torque, right? And we always say there's 2 things that are important. There's forces and torques. If I wanted to say what's the highest predictor of clubhead speed, it's total torque and vertical. He's got the vertical, but the total torque is low. Your sequence is perfect, right? I suspect even kinematic sequence is perfect, right? I just think you're fighting, like you said, physical restrictions. So you go lateral first, rock second, twist third, jump fourth. It's perfect. You got a pretty good balance between rock and twist. 26% body weight lateral, normal's 23 of them, so you're pushing hard. Let's just see if the 6 iron's the same thing. I'm pretty sure it is, but let's just make sure. Overall, the force plate's better than I thought. It's got some great lateral, some great vertical. There's a little bit of reduction in torque, but that's to be expected with early extension. Plus, it makes the forces a little bit late in the swing. And the later the forces are, the harder it is to get enough time to get it to the club head, and it can reduce your overall power.
Double plate ready. Double plate ready.
Pat, you're getting a little reverse there too now too. Again, that's all T-spine. One of the interesting observations I'm seeing now when he switched to an iron on the force plate, on the video I can see it looks like his spine is starting to reverse spine angle a little bit. And again, this just all feeds into the whole mobility bucket, right? So if it's hard for you to rotate, you might early extend, you might start to tilt towards the target. Out of all the things we've talked about mobility-wise, you can see that T-spine, that trunk restrictions that Padraig had, like half of what we normally see, are really starting to show up in his swing when we're looking at it on the video. Lateral goes first, then it goes rock, then it goes twist, and then you rock again. Okay. Right? That's because really what happens is, like, normally, like I said, we go lateral, we rock, we twist, and we jump. But if I'm in a reverse spine angle, right? If I go lateral, start to rock, I start to twist, you realize that you didn't rock enough, and then you rock again to shallow, and you go this way because you kind of got a little left. So it's almost knocking your sequence out. Not really, it's kind of right, but you kind of like a reposition move, you know what I mean? And it's a little late, like we said. But I think your lateral starts late. I think it's all late because of the difficulty in rotation. So now we're gonna go to motion capture. We're gonna do 3D, put the sensors on them. Now this is where I can quantify things like how much is he early extending, how much is he reverse spine angling, and more importantly, I can see how efficiently he takes the power that he has and how well he sequences and times that through his body to the golf club. Once again, I want to make sure he's maximizing the amount of power that he has currently. Whenever you're ready, you can swing whenever. Patty, it's par 5. Give me home in 2. Okay, give me a second. Even after the first couple swings here, he does have a little bit of sway moving away from the target, about 2.2 inches. He does early extend. He does half the early extension in the backswing, and then he keeps doing it 2 to 3 inches towards the golf ball by impact. And then he's got this reverse spine angle, and he's got 17 degrees of reverse spine angle, which is a lot. Like anytime it's more than 5 degrees, we start to yell at our players, and he's got 17. So I don't want to say that this was predicted, but it makes sense when your thorax doesn't move that you sway, you early extend, and you reverse spine angle. If I take you to impact here, you have 1.7 inches of early extension on the backswing, and then it gets to 2.2 at impact, so it just continues to go. So you're moving like half a club face closer, which is where the heel shot's coming in, right? We're actually getting good hip to shoulder. You got 42 degrees hip to shoulder separation, which is good. We saw that in the gym. It was hard for you to turn this, but you could still disassociate, right? So that was good. You're actually getting a little bit of a sway too, about 2.2. So that's kind of feeding the reverse. So instead of turning, you're going lateral, forward, and reversing. If I exaggerate this here. Now let's take a look at some of your speeds. You know, if I say average towards 500, we have 400 to 600. You're 400. Yeah. Trunk speed, average is 700. We have 600 to 800. You're 600. You're on the lower part of the range. Then we get to the arm speed. Arm speed is supposed to be 1100, so we have 1000 to 1200. Yours is 7 something, right? So I'm like, okay, arm speed's getting killed. That's where you're losing your speed. Why do you think you're losing arm speed? I would say, you know, this space right here is the most important. This is where your arms go. If you're invading that space, the arms are like, where am I supposed to go, right? And you kind of start to release the club to get around it, and that's where you're losing your speed. You know how to square the face, so I could see the way you release the club, so your hands are your saving grace. You know, you've been really good at controlling club face for a long time. The good news, like I said, is this is what I expected, right? The only thing I didn't expect, though, is your sequence is a little off. Your pelvis is a little late. I mean, it makes sense. So I can see why you called me, because normally your sequence, even if you had these, your sequence is good, but now it's affecting your sequence. And you can see it kind of matches where your pelvis peaks is kind of where your ground reaction forces finish your vertical. So just a little late. All right, I think we know what to do. Kind of what we thought. We just confirmed. Yeah. Let's go through a workout now. I'll show you what I would be doing, because I think it's going to help a ton very quickly, by the way. Have you ever done any like the Eldoa stuff or anything like that? Have you ever delved into that?
No. Like the winter of 2004, I did a lot of working out, and then this 2005 was when I played my best. But then I stopped again. And two winters later, I started to see, but that was because of the lack of knowledge of the body swing connection. That was it. Oh, I'm fixed. I don't need to do any more, as opposed to I need to keep on doing it.
Being a good genie, I want to make sure I go back to the wishes. The first thing he asked for is, I need a workout. And I agree with him. The good news is, I hate it when somebody asks for something and after we do the exam, I'm like, that's not really what they need. This is what he needs. He needs an exercise program. It's going to make him feel better. It's going to make him play better, right? So literally what I want to do is I want to walk him through some of the critical pieces to the workout and make sure he's doing these properly. I just want to make sure he gets the most bang out of the buck. So, all right, so we saw with the body swing connection here that your trunk, your chest, thorax, whatever you want to call this right here, is restricted, right? And it's causing you to sway a little bit. It's causing you to kind of tilt towards the target. And it's definitely making you lose posture and really extend. So I think if we can get this moving a little bit better and even give you some hip mobility too, it's going to help you maintain posture. Now it's real important, I built you some exercises, but I'm going to kind of take just a quick inspection here of the thorax to see exactly what structures might be limited. So one of the first steps that I want to do to actually build him a workout is I want to figure out why these structures are restricted. Now what I mean by that is we said his trunk or his thorax was restricted, but if you think about it, what's in your thorax? You've got your spine, you've got your rib cage, you've got a lot of connective tissue like fascia. You could be tight because your ribs are restricted. You could be tight because the facets of the joints on your spine are restricted. You could be restricted because the fascia, the tissue is restricted, or you could have a combination of all these things. Depending on what's restricted, changes what exercises. So I'm actually going to do a little more advanced testing to try and figure out exactly which structures are restricted so I can work more like a sniper versus just throwing grenades everywhere. One of the biggest restrictors in the thorax, believe it or not, is the rib cage, right? So I want to just kind of get an idea of the flexibility of your rib cage real quick. So I'm just going to actually palpate this side to side just to see how springy this is. And I'm going to see how much it compresses. And take a big breath in for me. It should expand, should lift up, and then all the air out. It should drop down. I'm not seeing a lot of motion here. Take a big breath in. I really want to see this part of the rib cage should go up and down. We call it the pump handle, like an old water pump handle. The lateral part should go this way. We call it the bucket handle, like you're raising a handle of a bucket. Take a big breath in. I don't see a lot go on your side this way. I'm going to check the bucket handle, which is the rib cage should be flaring out like this. Take a big breath in. I'm not really seeing anything, and out. Turn facing me. Take a big breath in. And out. Okay, I'm not seeing much. Have a seat facing this way over here. So when we're testing the rib cage, it's really important. The rib cage should be pliable, it should be flexible. And I'm going to kind of poke both sides to make sure that they're springing, and I'm going to make sure that when he takes a big breath in, that the rib cage expands. Joints mobilize a lot with distraction. In other words, if your knuckle's tight, if you pull your knuckle, you'll hear a pop. One of the best ways to open up a joint is to distract the joint. Well, how do you distract your rib cage? It's called breathing, right? As you breathe in, you expand your rib cage, and if you breathe properly, it actually helps with your mobility. So the lateral parts of your rib cage are expanding lateral, the top and the back are going up and down, and that creates this big volumetric expansion of the rib cage. Allows you to get oxygen in, which makes it so your blood has more oxygen. So you actually can have more endurance doing this as well properly. So you get endurance and you get range of motion just by breathing properly. So with Padraig, I think it's pretty obvious that the bucket handle, the lateral excursion of the lower part of the rib cage is a little restricted. So we're gonna make sure that we add some of the breathing or rib cage mobility exercises to his program. When the rib cage isn't expanding properly, a lot of times it can affect mobility because when you breathe, it distracts the rib cage. It actually helps with mobility. One of the best ways to increase joint range of motion is distract the joint, and by breathing in and expanding the rib cage, it gives you mobility. So if you're not breathing properly, not only does it make mobility a problem, but it can also lower your blood oxygen. You're filling your lungs up as much. So it's hard for you to do things like hold your breath. So I'm actually gonna test that real quick, okay? So what I want you to do is when I tell you, you're gonna take a big breath in through your nose when I tell you, then you're gonna breathe out through your mouth. When all the air is out, you're gonna hold your breath. When you feel like you have to breathe, just tell me. Say, I gotta breathe, okay? All right, big breath in through your nose. And then all the air out, get it all out. And hold your breath. And you tell me when you have to breathe. Okay, that was 11 seconds. Normal is 25. So this is a clear sign that one of the things we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to incorporate ribs into your workout, because that's the first thing I wanted to know. Okay, so that's good. This will help you a lot, right? Just by breathing normal, you'll get more shoulder turn. I mean, that's pretty cool, right? Now the next thing that can restrict this is tissue, right? So we have, you know the white part of a steak? It's called fascia, right? We have fascia that goes through all of our body, through our muscles, our organs, and a lot of times that can be really restricted. People think that muscles get tight. Usually it's the fascia around the muscles that gets tight. Now this is a weird one, but the way we check this, I'm gonna have you take your hands behind your head. But this is how we test to see if you have any connective tissue or fascial restrictions around your chest. I'm gonna go around the back of Padraig and I'm gonna put my hands around his oblique abdominal area. I'm gonna have him rotate to the right and rotate to the left, and I'm just gonna palpate. You're gonna go and relax and you're gonna rotate to the right, as far as you can. And then back to center, and we're gonna do that again. Okay, I should feel your internal oblique firing here and your external oblique firing here. Come back to center. Your oblique abdominals help you rotate to the left. You feel that guy, right? Yeah. I can feel your external over here. I'm not sure if I feel the internal. Do you feel over here?
Not really.
Me neither. Come back over here. Now that could be that this is so tight, I'm not even getting to this over here. Now the cool thing about this is, as poor of a reliability as it seems like, this has very, very good reliability between practitioners and from the patient. In other words, what I feel is kind of what Padraig's gonna feel. Let's go ahead and rotate left this time. Okay, I got the same thing. I can feel here, but I don't feel here. Do you agree?
Yeah.
So no matter if I turn right or left, I just feel left activation, I don't feel right activation. Now, sit up tall for me. Rotate right. Is that go left? You feel anything going here?
Not really.
Okay, you shouldn't feel anything here. You don't feel anything here. Okay, good. So that fascia wraps around your body, so it looks like it's okay here. The problem is when you're rotating right and left, whatever you feel right, you should feel the opposite going left. It should be symmetrical. Yours is not. It went left contracted, left contracted. You can feel it and I can feel it. Anytime we see that, we know fascia is involved. So I'm gonna make sure we have some fascial stuff in your workout. So now I know I gotta get some ribs, I gotta get some fascia. It's really hard to get mobility restrictions in isolation. In other words, it's hard to just have a joint restriction and not have some type of tissue restriction. So it's very common that these come together, that we have a tissue problem and a joint problem. All this means is that we're gonna have two types of exercises. We're gonna have exercises for joint mobility and we're gonna have exercises for tissue mobility, but they're different. Last thing, I'm gonna check his spine here. Hands and knees for me, facing me, this way. This is how we can get very specific with our workouts to make sure we target exactly where the problem is. I'm gonna have you sit back towards your heels. Last thing we test for thorax mobility is the spine, right? Because obviously any restrictions in your spine can restrict how well you can turn your shoulders. And that, I'm just gonna use a palpation method. I'm just gonna go in there and manually palpate and see if things are moving, right? It's very common, like I say, to have the trifecta, to have rib restrictions, fascia restrictions, and spine restrictions. Very common. You're gonna look to the left and rotate left as far as you can. Lift your left shoulder to the sky. Okay, and back down. Now normal, this is 0, here's 90 degrees. Normal, this is 45 degrees, normal is 50 degrees. That looked like 20 to me, right? So that's definitely restricted. I'm gonna do passive. You totally relax. I'm gonna see if I can glide. It feels tighter down here. Is that what it feels to you too?
Yeah.
Okay, so almost like, looks like the upper spine, the facets, the joints here are moving, but it looks like we hit a wall here. Let's check the other side. Right arm behind your back. Now, of course, rib cage and fascia are involved here as well, but this really helps check some unilateral right versus left. Back down. Totally relax. Totally relax. I got you. Those feel the same, or does this feel different?
Different.
Yeah, it looks different too. Totally relax here. Where do you feel this one? That's on the front, is it?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Okay, so that's what it felt like to me. Like the first one felt like it was over here, this one felt like it was more from the front. So I almost feel like tissue is restricting you this way and joints on the left. So right rotation, I think more tissue, left rotation, a little bit more joint and rib. But honestly, I think we're gonna do all of them on you, okay, just now that I see this. Sometimes I might see it's just the ribs and the spine and the fascia are good, but on you, I think we've got a little bit of all of them in there, okay? So unfortunately, that just means maybe a couple more exercises, but I think it'll help. All right, so Patty, you know, when we put all your data into the app, we actually have our AI system that's got a lot of players in here go through and make a recommendation. I just want to see how it did compared to what I'm seeing. I think you need to do a little bit of all three. And you can see the first exercise it gave you there, rib cage breathing. It's going after your rib cage. I think we saw that, so we can confirm that. The next one, it's going after this oblique stretch. That's the tissue, that's the fascia. So it's going after that one. And then the third one, it gave you all three too. So the good news is we're on the same page here, the AI and me. I think I'm going to walk you through because I think I can combine some of these together too. So we'll go through that. and then we'll move on to some of the hinging stuff. Okay, so let's go through these real quick. I'm gonna have you just lay on your back here, head here, feet that way. So now that I know what's causing the restrictions, let's go look at some of the exercises that can help improve this. We're gonna work on the entire rib cage girdle. I just think it's gonna help them in general. People always ask me, how long does it take till you should notice a difference? The answer is, right now you should notice a difference if we're doing the right thing. If you're like, oh, it's gonna take a year, I don't agree, I don't believe that. I really feel if you're working on the right thing, we should notice differences every time we work out. So remember when I had you on your hands and knees, a hand behind your back and rotating?
Yeah.
We'll use that as a before and after. You know how you felt how tight that felt right now,
Yeah.
right? Especially with your left hand behind your back. We'll maybe use that as a little pre and post check. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna work on expanding this rib cage. So we're gonna start with the pump handle. First thing I do is I put my hand on his sternum or his hand on his sternum and get him so he can feel when his chest elevates, and I want him to try and expand his rib cage as much as he can. So I want you to take a big breath in through your nose, and I want you to lift my hand up. Higher, 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 higher. Now drop my hand down as you breathe out through your mouth as low as you can. Drop it down, drop it down, drop it down. Keep going, keep going. Big breath in, lift me up, lift me up, lift me up, lift me up. And then all the air out, drop it down, drop it down. Remember, the more volume we can get in there, the more distraction I can get from the rib cage, and believe it or not, it's gonna increase his mobility and his shoulder turn, right? So each breath, I want him to try and breathe in more and expand more, and then I wanna get all the air out and compress it. Almost think of it like an accordion. I wanna bring it up and out and just keep opening up that rib cage. Now what you can do at home is put your hand there on your sternum, right? Or you could do something like this. You can take this is 4 kilograms, this is like 8 pounds. Hold on to that. Put it right on your sternum. Now, big breath in and lift it up. Up, 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 up. And then drop it down. Believe it or not, with time, you'll be able to get that higher and higher, right? Big breath in. I think sometimes even that weight on your chest, if it's a kettlebell or dumbbell, just visually seeing it go up and down is easier than watching your rib cage expand, so you kind of know if it's working or not. And it kind of targets your brain on what area you want to lift up. And there's no amount that I'm looking for as in like, hey, you have to get to here. I just want you to try and increase it with every breath, right? Just keep getting more if you can. One more. We're going to do at least 3 to 5 breaths. And then all the air out. Okay, so that's the pump handle, right? We call that the pump handle, like one of those old water pump handles. Now we also have the bucket handle. Look, I'm raising, that's the outside of the ribs. So on this one, I take my hands on the side of your rib cage, right here, and I say, go ahead, take a big breath in and push my hands apart. And out. Now I think this one's harder for you. Does that feel harder?
Yeah.
So if it's hard doing that, you can put your hands on your side and try it at home, but if it's hard, what I'm gonna have you do is go onto your side. So go on your side this way. So next we'll go to the bucket handle. The best way to get this is get him on his side. Now he can put his hand on the bucket handle on the lower ribs. And as he breathes in, once again, I want to see that hand go up. And you can do the same thing. You can put a sandbag, you can put a kettlebell on there, and really trying to elevate that as high as you can with each breath. And I call this rib CPR. I'm not going to push hard. I can put the kettlebell right here. I'm just going to give him a little bit of resistance here. I'm going to say, big breath in, now lift me up. Lift me up, lift me up, lift me up, lift me up. Keep going, keep going. Good. And now drop me down. Okay, I see some life there. Big breath in, lift me up, lift me up, lift me up, lift me up, lift me up. Keep going, come on, get more. There it is. And then all the air out. Just so you can see what that would look like. Go ahead and lift it up. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. And now drop it down. You'll see some people can really raise that thing up in the air. Let's compare the other side. Big breath in, lift me up, and out. And remember, you've got different anatomy, like the liver on one side, heart on the other side. Sometimes different parts of the body are harder because of fascial restrictions. All the air out. Lift this thing up. Big breath in. Keep going. Through your nose, keep going, keep going, keep going. And all the air out. Is this side harder?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
One more time, just because this one's harder. And then all the air out. Okay, let me show you one more. Go face down for me. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, you can also work on the pump handle face down. If I put a little bit of weight, I'll put a sandbag here or a kettlebell, and I say, take a big breath in and lift me up. Good, so we're actually expanding the posterior part of the rib cage and back down. It's kind of where the ribs come and insert into the spine. We can actually start to get some of that flexibility too. Big breath in, lift me up. Good. Okay, now that we've done a bunch of breaths, let's go hands and knees. Let's go back to that sitting back position with your forearms down on the ground. I always like to see if I'm making progress, and I think so do my students, right? So I'm always like trying to give them what's called a retention test. Here's a test to see what your thorax mobility looks like now. Let's go do some exercises. And if you do the test after and it's way different, it motivates you to keep doing those, right? You kind of know, hey, this is working. And I love doing that with the thorax. Okay, so this is kind of like the post. Take your left hand behind your back. Okay, now what I want you to do is, and this forearm's down on the ground, just like that. Okay, take a big breath in, expand your rib cage. And breathe out, look left, rotate left, raise this to the sky. Good, now hold here, big breath in, expand. Breathe out and rotate. Good, now hold. Every time you go, you expand your rib cage, try and break the rib cage apart. Now this is just rib, we haven't got to the fascia on the spine, but we're gonna see if we get a couple breaths here. Breathe out and go, and every time you do, you go higher. Hold, big breath in. Notice it's harder to breathe here, right?
Yeah, right, yeah.
Because now we're putting tension on the rib cage and you distracting. Okay, now watch, bring it down. Now look left and keep your hand there and rotate left. Notice the difference already.
Yeah.
I mean, you just picked up probably 10 degrees there minimum, do you agree?
Yes.
And that was day one,
Yeah.
right? Imagine if we did this for a month. You're gonna be Gumby. Okay, so that's your first exercise. When on the app, it says rib cage breathing. It'll walk through expanding here, expanding here. If you want to make this a little easier, get on your side. And if you want to take it into this C position, take some breaths and reach back, I think that would be helpful too.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're going to do a global fascial stretch for what's called the spiral line fascia. This is the fascia that goes from your foot all the way to your head, and it kind of wraps like a spiral around your body, and it can very much restrict rotation. It feels tight here in the front, but it actually starts down into your ankle, goes all the way up the outside of your hip, goes around your spine, and it actually finishes up by your neck, right? So it's a full body exercise. We found that if you just try and isolate the core area, it doesn't really get it. You got to lock the entire chain. So there's some really nuances to this that I want to walk you through. So they call this the 90-90-90 oblique stretch. The reason it's called 90-90-90 is the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take your right leg forward, and we're going to make sure the knee's 90 degrees. So what I usually do is I extend it, I flex it, and I find 90 degrees, okay? Now we're gonna take, let's make sure that's exactly 90 degrees. Now we take femur, and femur need to be 90 degrees. So we're gonna back this and try and get those to 90 degrees as well as you can, right? And then the back knee needs to be 90 degrees. So I extend it, I flex it, and I find 90. So now I've got 90 degrees here, I got 90 degrees here, 90 degrees here. Okay, next thing, because the fascia comes all the way down to the foot, we're gonna dorsiflect. We're gonna bring your toes up on both sides, okay? Now, if you notice, if I had a laser beam coming out of your chest, it would be parallel with your right thigh. Here's the goal, perpendicular. So you give me that look like most people do, like, I don't know how I'm gonna do that. So now what you're gonna do is you're gonna rotate this way to the right, and you're gonna put this forearm down on the ground over here, and that forearm on the ground over there too. Can you get both forearms down? Good, now I got my shoulders parallel, right, to your thigh. Now, this is what's called the spiral fascial line. You can already feel this. Where do you feel this?
All over.
So it's kind of weird because you have to get in this global position to stretch these. Everybody's going to feel it somewhere different, right? You might feel it in your leg. You might feel it in your hip. You might feel it in your back. You might feel it in your stomach or in your chest or in your arm, right? It all depends on where your fascial restrictions are. And you can tell Padraig's got major restrictions through his abdomen, through his chest. Now from here, because we also have rib involved here, let's do it. Expand your rib cage. I need pump handle and bucket. Big breath in. Expand. As you breathe out, try and drop this shoulder down and get that forearm down. Good. Big breath in, expand. Try and drop that left shoulder down. If you've never done fascial stretching before, these can be very, very overwhelming, and it almost feels like you can't breathe sometimes in these positions, and it takes time to get comfortable and learn. Okay, now after 3 breaths, you're going to take this left hand and you're going to reach out towards the camera here as high as you can. You're going to get it off the ground, but notice it pops the shoulder up in the air. So now what you're going to do is you're going to take a big breath in again, expand the rib cage. As you breathe out, you're going to drop the shoulder, but don't let the hand touch the ground. There's the look, right? There's the fascia. The way this fascia works, this connective tissues, it takes time for that tissue to relax and to release. So we have to hold these stretches for at least 60 seconds to make any difference, right? And I'm telling you, some of the biggest challenges is just breathing in those positions. But once they start to unlock, it's like life-changing. Big breath in. Breathe out and extend, reach. You only get out of this what you put into this. That's what our friend Tom House always says. Take a big breath in. And breathe out, expand, and drop. Okay, now take both hands on the ground, and you're going to go to press up. Full press up position, still facing this way. So I still got my shoulders. You okay?
It's difficult.
Yep. Now take a big breath in. There's no way to hide from this stretch. Now you're going to slide as you breathe out, and try and slide as far away as you can. Good. Each time you get to your barrier, just hold, big breath in. And your goal is you're going to get that head down to the ground one of these days. And all those little hot spots will get better, no pain. Stay under the pain, do the breaths. You want the good news or bad news? Bad news? That's your good side. Let's get the left side. I always think fascia is like peeling an onion, right? As you do a stretch, you're going to feel these hot spots, I call them. And these hot spots are where the fascia is the tightest. But now as you release those hot spots, a new hot spot might pop up, right? So you might feel it first in your shoulder, and then as that loosens up, all of a sudden you feel it in your oblique. And then as soon as you get through your oblique, you might feel it in your hip. So I'm always like, pay attention to those hot spots. Let's work through those, but don't be surprised if they move. And rotate. I always like coming back to this, right? Because it's almost unwinding it. Go ahead and stand up and walk around for a second. You're feeling your hot spots.
Lots of them.
Okay, walk around for a second. Every time you're done with those fascial stretches, it hits every part of your body. Let's get a measurement, see where we're at here, Patty. So left over right. Remember, this is only 2 exercises in. Let's go, keep your knees together, rotate left, only as far as you can with your knees connected. And then come back to center. That is, we just picked up 13 degrees. Okay, so that's 40 degrees. Now remember, I want 55 to 60, but we started at 27, right? Since we looked at Padraig's initial thorax range of motion with seated trunks, sitting on a bench and rotating to the right and left, we're going to use that as his retention test. And you can see he just really quickly picked up 13 degrees. So I'm telling Padraig his range of motion is getting better. He can kind of feel it, but it really helps for him to see it. And that's really encouraging. In 30 days, I think you should be close to our norms on here if you're doing it every day, right? Like I said, think of it, like you said, a degree a day in 30 days, you can pick up 30 degrees. That'd be incredible, right? So like I said, don't expect 13 degrees every time, but that was really good. And one of my favorite exercises for the thorax, I call it the trifecta one. This actually goes after your rib cage, it goes after your fascia, and it goes after your spine, right? And this is one that anybody can do. Just sit on a chair, put your hands behind your head. So we're gonna take a big breath in, let's expand the rib cage. As you breathe out, rotate right. Now anytime we get to a new position, you're gonna breathe, right? You can't own a position unless you can breathe there. Big breath in. As you breathe out, we're gonna side bend now. And side bend as far as you can. This opens up the spine facets. Now take 2 big breaths from here. We're opening up the left facet chain here in the spine, and you're always trying to drop that down. You almost feel like there's an arrow going and you're rotating around that arrow. After 2 breaths, all the air out, come back up, but don't unrotate. Now, big breath in. As you breathe out, see if we can go farther. It's like unlocking the spine. Now, big breath in again. As you breathe out, side bend to the right. And really feel like this right elbow is going down and the left rib cage is going left. 2 big breaths. Open up this left facet chain. 1 more. As you breathe out, come back up. 3rd time's the charm, Patty. Big breath in. Look where you're pointing at, by the way. Okay, take a big breath in. As you breathe out, side bend to the right. Now what we're gonna do, because this is golf, when you take a backswing, you're gonna take a big breath in. As you breathe out, left shoulder goes down for golf in the backswing, and we're gonna open up the right facet chain. Big breath in, and back up. Now come back to center. Now watch this, sit tall. No, hands up, sit tall. Rotate right. Don't even think, just rotate right. How are we doing? That's like crazy, right?
Yeah.
How much did you just pick up right there? A lot. The exercise is tough. You can see it on his face, but look at the results. Look at the comparison before and after, and just wait till you see what this does over time. Now notice, we picked up, not as much on the right, we picked up some over there. Again, it's every day, right? I always, like I said, if you can put a chair or you have a bench in the same spot every day and you can almost mark on the wall, it's kind of a motivator. Like you can see how things are going, right? Okay, so that's spine, chest, ribs, fascia, thorax. We call that the thorax mobility. Do you have any questions on those?
No.
Okay, that's kind of what I feel like in those hot spots will change over time. Now I want to talk about touching your toes, flexion, okay? So now I want to go after his ability to hinge from his hips, right? I don't want him to hinge from his spine and create that C posture. I want him to hinge from his hips. So now we're going to go after the global fascia on the back of his body called the posterior fascial chain. Now, one of my favorite exercises here is an exercise from the ELDOA program. That's a French program that was developed by an osteopath by the name of Guy Voyer. He actually developed a stretch that was really designed for your lower back. I think it's incredible for the entire posterior chain fascia. So what I need is this. I need your butt down here. I need your feet up here and your head over here. So you get as close to the wall as you can with your butt. And get your legs up in the air. Good, and you're gonna kind of square yourself up perpendicular to the wall. A little bit more, move your butt this way a little bit. Good, perfect. As you get better at this, you'll get closer to the wall, okay? Now, from here, we're gonna separate the feet. Okay, now take your hands, imagine you're Spider-Man. You ever watch Spider-Man? You're gonna shoot a web, both hands, Spider-Man. Gotta work on your Spider-Man. Okay, like that. Okay. Now, from this position, you notice your hands are externally rotated and the fingers are this way. Remember that fascia we talked about goes throughout your whole body, so we're gonna do this. Now, with your hands like this, you're gonna raise those, keeping it like this, raise those hands up over your head. Now, what I want you to do is take your chin, you're gonna tuck your chin, but keep your head on the ground, but you're gonna look down, chin's tucked. We're stretching the entire backside of your body, right? Now, what you're gonna do, when you're ready, you're gonna do this. You're gonna take your hands, you're gonna try and push your hands that way. You're gonna try and take your butt towards the corner of the floor. And now from here, we're gonna keep your feet apart. We're gonna rotate your feet this way, and we're gonna try, so feet are in, pointing in. You're gonna try and take your toes below your heels. As low as you can. And there's the posterior chain. Now tell me where you feel that the most.
Well, all the way down the calves.
Okay, so you feel calf.
Yeah, the hamstrings.
And okay, so what you're gonna notice here is, again, the whole posterior side of your body's tight. You're pushing this way, chin's tucking, right? Toes are coming down. And you're gonna hold this for at least 60 seconds, actually like 90 seconds. Fascia needs time for this to elongate. You might feel calves right now, and as those start to relax, it might move to the hamstring. As that relaxes, it might move to your mid-back, it might move to your shoulder. It's all about where your hot spots are. Hands are like this, chin's tucking, toes are coming down. Get those toes down and turned in. Left or right worse?
Right at the moment.
Right? Try and straighten that knee. Good, try and straighten that knee. You really feel that there, right?
Yeah.
Good. Got another 15 seconds for me? Okay, when you're done with your 60, 90 seconds, just go ahead and bend the knees and just roll onto your side. That's how you get out of this. So now that we've kind of stretched the posterior chain, I want to kind of put it into action, like touching toes. So I'm going to be mean. Put your feet together, toes come up onto this. One of the things I like to do with exercise is almost trick the brain into doing the exercise properly without them having to try to think of anything. This toe touch series is a really powerful exercise that almost teaches the motor pattern of hinging from the hips, even more than it does stretching. Okay, so toes come up. I'm bringing your toes up closer to you to make this easier, right? You're gonna bring your hands up over your head. What I want you to do is, I want you to slowly try and reach down and touch your toes. Go as low as you can. If you can't go any lower, bend your knees and get to your toes. Good, and come back up. So I started with his toes up, telling the player, hey, I'm bringing your toes closer to you, so I'm making it easier. What I'm really doing is because I'm bringing your toes up, I'm actually pre-stretching the posterior chain fascia. And as you go to try and touch your toes, you kind of have to hinge from your hips. You got to get your hips out of the way to be able to get to your toes. So I'm kind of telling the brain, don't hinge from your mid-back, hinge from your hips without telling them that, right? And we have them repeat that a couple times. Then we go toes down, which is even more challenging to get your hips to go out of the way. So it's all of these are forcing his brain to hinge from his hips, something he hasn't done in a long time. He just hinges from his spine. Now you're gonna come over to the front. You're gonna put your heels up. I'm gonna take your toes farther away. Okay. Hands up. Go all the way down as low as you can. And bend. Good, and back up. Told you I was mean. And back up. Okay, that's good. You okay?
Yes.
So I like 3 on each of those. Then step off of this. And just remember, if you don't hinge from your hips in your golf swing, how do you get down to the ball? Most people will hinge from their spine. If you flex from your mid-back, it will affect how much you can rotate now, right? The spine works great at rotating if it's nice and neutral. If you flex and create that C posture, you can severely limit your rotation. And that could be all about how you just set up in your original setup posture. Okay, now, as weird as this sounds, it's almost like I want to work on the motor program of how you're supposed to bend. For a long time, because this doesn't bend, you've just been hinging from here. Yeah, so every time you flex from your mid-back. I want to remind your brain how you're supposed to flex. You're supposed to flex from your hip first and then your spine, right? But how did you learn to flex the first time? It wasn't from standing. It was you were a baby crawling, and you learned to come up to get up on that. So what we're going to do is we're going to reverse the pattern. Last exercise I like to do in this series is called a reverse toe touch. This is, once again, teaching motor patterns. When you're a baby, when you first learned to touch your toes, it wasn't from standing down. You were crawling trying to get up, right? And as you got up, you held onto your feet, you stuck your butt up in the air, and then you stood up. So believe it or not, I'm actually teaching you how to touch your toes in reverse, but that's the way you learned it the first time. So what I want you to do is this. I want you to take your feet apart. I want you to squat as far as you can. If you have to lift your heels, you can, but I want you to grab your toes. Now from here, I want you to try and lift your butt up in the air. And we're gonna go back and forth. So from the down position to the up position. Good, let's do that like 5 times. High as you can, high as you can. Good, and back down. One more time. Where are you feeling that? Is it more hamstring or calf? Hamstring. Okay, all the way up. And one more time. And then from here, slowly raise up. Good, feet a little closer together. Now let me see you just touch again. Just don't even think, just go down. Just wanna see where we're at. Now pay attention to where you're at, okay? Each day that's gonna get lower. Anytime you're trying to retrain a motor pattern, you have 2 options. Build a new motor pattern or remind you of a pattern you already have. It's way easier to remind you if you already have one. Most people learn to touch their toes when they were young and they have those motor patterns. They've just developed these limitations that have forced them to create compensation motor patterns. So I just got to remind them of the one he had a long time ago. So now what we did is we're kind of getting you some hip mobility over here, right? We got some spine here and some extension. And then on your workout, the things that we didn't cover, but I think you've probably seen a lot of these, is there's some hip rotation, some ankle stuff. Add those in there, and I'm telling you, dude, in 30 days, be a new man.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So excited to see that he's gonna really start getting engaged with his game again here at the age of 50. I think we've got him on the right path here. I think the moral of the story here today is you're never too old to start engaging your body, getting your game to the best level it's ever been. You never know. Your best days might be in your future and not in your past.
I've been noticing issues with my swing and how I've been playing, and I was trying to figure out how much of the body was really affecting that, because I was just starting to notice small little injuries here and there. And even stuff like breathing has been, a little bit harder. So I just wanted to go through an evaluation to see how much the body has changed over time, and then how much we can correct that and then lead that back into swinging better and playing better. The biggest thing I learned today really was the rib cage and how that was affecting how I'm breathing and everything else as well too. And I just noticed that as well too. So sometimes if I get into this position here, I just find it difficult to breathe, and I really just need to open everything up as well too. And that will help with absolutely everything, rotations and the whole lot as well too. So I think the biggest thing really was the whole kind of rib cage and the breathing. Well, the big takeaway for me is, now is the time to start working on my physical side, because like if I've let it slide for basically 10 years, if I can just do it a little bit every day, we will see dramatic changes, So that's the big takeaway.
All right, so we had a great day here with Padraig. Like I said, one of the best in the TPI network. I feel really good about what he's leaving with today, and I think he does too, and I'm really excited to see where Padraig goes with this game. So if you guys like content like this and you want to see more, please hit the subscribe and like button below.